Oh wow, I'm live. I didn't even know that. Okay, guys, first question, am I audible? And I think I'm visible, I can see myself, but yeah. Okay, yeah. We are live. Hey Prashant, what's up? How's everything going? Yes, okay, perfect. So we are audible. Okay, so firstly, let me share the agenda of what this live stream is. What is the agenda of this live stream? It's to clear some of the basic doubts that people have on system design interviews. And the second thing is we can think about how do we tackle a system design interview in general. So every interview is different because they have different questions, or the interviewer, it's a subjective interview, right? But there are some good practices that we can all follow to make the interviewer's life easy and improve our own chances. That's the idea of today's talk. Okay, so firstly I'll just go through the questions which are there on the chat, and also thanks so much for tuning in. It's a Sunday night. So 9 o'clock, system design is an interesting subject to talk about this time. Okay, so one basic query, this is Ankit Saxena, who says, how does solution and system architect differ, and as per you, what is the prime responsibility of a system architect? Well, how does a solution and a system architect differ? I don't know the answer to this. I do know what a system architect does though. Usually they are the people who are... Okay, so what does a system architect do? This is a bit of a complex question because they do a lot of things. It is a complex role, but usually you need a system architect for, let's say you have a complicated architecture, you want to improve on it. That's when you can hire a system architect. They are a little different from tech lead in the sense that the tech lead actually comes up with solutions more. They can suggest you open source solutions. They can help processify many things in the team. They can clear doubts for the team members. This is what a tech lead does. A system architect is, let's say, a little more technical. They speak a little less to the project side or the product side, and they are more into engineering practices. They are more into making sure that the system is extensible, scalable, all of the things which are much more on the engineering side. So engineering guarantees is something that system architects look for more often. But if you're applying for a job role for a system architect, they are going to be expecting you to be a bit of an all-rounder. They will expect you to know about technologies well. For example, they'll expect you to know about, Elasticsearch, how does it work internally? They might even ask you, what about the algorithms which are being used? Specific scenarios like, if there is a very large document, how are you going to handle it? So over there, what happens is they are drilling into you technically. For a tech lead, they might start asking you, if I have to build this solution, what are the open source solutions which are out there? Or it doesn't necessarily need to be open source. It can also be that what are the paid solutions out there, which would be cheaper? Why would you prefer this over that? So there's a subtle distinction between a solution, or rather a tech lead and a system architect, but that is what it is. Okay, people are saying there's a lot of background noise. Let me see if I can improve on that. I think I have connected with desktop audio, so I will also get an audio capture. So audio input capture, I will add my external mic. This should help a little bit. Okay, next question. We'll be taking questions till... So this session is designed to be around half an hour. Okay, so I'll just be taking the important questions. Also, the other thing is that I want to share some of the standard ways in which we can deal with a system design problem. So once I'm done with these questions, I'll head to that. And after that, we'll again have a set of questions. And then we can say good night to Sunday. So, okay, one basic query is done. How to start from very basics of system design. This is Ankita Paul. I have 3 years of experience but have never done system design. So from where should I begin, and what can I expect to learn from system design? Okay, so the question makes me think that maybe there is, I need to first define what is system design. So system design is the design of distributed systems or complex systems in such a way that it helps you scale the system in future. Okay, so this involves quite a few things. Which databases are you using in this system? Which networks are being used in the system? Usually, I mean, because the number of networks are not as many as the number of databases, this is a very standard thing. Like, okay, internally I use gRPC, externally I used WebSockets or HTTP, so we usually don't go into too much detail. But in general, what is the workings of a system? It's become much more popular with the advent of microservices, because different services now have different teams, and those different teams work independently. How do you make these teams work together, right? How do you make the code of these teams work together? So the interaction is something that creates a system. The behavior of the components creates the system. You need to be able to meet the product requirements while looking at this engineering design. I also think that I have not done justice despite this long definition. So one of the things you can do is just, instead of me telling you the definition, let me give you an example. And the example will not be in this live stream. I'll rather share this example. I just search for Gaurav Sen system design, and let me pick up the first video that I can see over here. Okay, distributed systems. Okay, I have an entire playlist on this. That's the reason why I'm very comfortable sharing this on the chat. Okay, if you're looking to start with system design, this is a good place to start. Like, what is system design? This video answers that with the example of you're running a pizza shop. So if you have a startup, or if you have any kind of company, you have a set of processes that you have to follow. When it comes to the way in which you're going to implement this technically, you need some sort of system design coming in. Prashant Bajpai is asking an interesting question. When is mock interview coming? Mock interview is coming soon. I was going to wear the InterviewReady t-shirt, but then I thought that it might be a little too, it might be a little too advertising. But it is, whatever is happening in InterviewReady is pretty exciting, honestly. So we are building a mock interview platform, and the aim of this platform is to help users practice their interviews in the InterviewReady portal. So I'll also explain why does InterviewReady exist. The reason InterviewReady exists is to help people prepare for their interviews in one place. So my long-term aim is that this becomes a one-stop shop. So right now we have a course on system design. That was one pain point that people had for a long time. We are still adding content to that course, but simultaneously we are also seeing that apart from learning, people also need a place to practice system design. Currently what happens is people learn in one place, which is through various blogs and videos, different places. It's unstructured. They have to take a lot of effort to filter out this information and then structure it themselves. So they make notes and all that. So instead of that, at InterviewReady, we are recently adding notes. We are making sure that things in terms of learning are taken care of. The next thing is practice. Where do you practice system design or algorithms? We want to put that in the same place. So you can learn and practice in the same place. And finally, you can also test yourself. Right now we have quizzes. We also have, we are going to be seeing a pass or a fail in the interview for the mock interview platform. And we also are looking for more stringent ways in which we can test people, so that when you go to the interview, you're confident, right? The end goal of InterviewReady should be that you came to the website. When you're going for the interview, you feel confident that even if a googly comes in the interview, someone asks you a really tough or a different kind of question, you're not flabbergasted, you're not scared. You feel like, fine, I can handle this. My fundamentals are strong enough that I can take the system design question. So that's the goal. And for that, I mean, the second part of InterviewReady is the mock interview platform, which we are coming up with in probably 14 days. But don't hold me to it, because we are still having demos, and the devs and the product team, we are all working together to get it out as soon as possible. But nice question, Prashant. Okay. Okay. Ankita Paul's question has been answered. Arun Kumar, don't think like this, you should advertise. Okay. InterviewReady. Are you talking about that? Okay, I just advertised it again by mistake, sorry. Tirth Mehta, hi Gaurav, thanks for creating these videos. It's been helpful to me being a final year student. Thanks again. Thanks, Tirth. I'm glad they helped. Awesome. Nishant Garg is saying, please make a video about relational database scaling for large set of users. Relational database scaling for large set of users. So Nishant, I agree with you that I haven't taken any example where there's a huge number of users and we are dealing with it one by one. But three things maybe might help you in the real world. First thing would be you can index. Indexing is really important. First, you figure out what are the queries which are usually being sent to the database. So logging is the most important thing, right? It's crazy. Like you think about databases and you think about logging, they're different things. But no, you log the queries, you see the time they're taking. The most expensive queries require indexes. It's that simple. Then what you do is you go for replication. So I'll just note this down, I think, because so first log slow queries. Okay, you don't need to log all the queries also. Then you actually start, you replicate the database so that you can read replicas is what you need more often than not, so that you can serve efficiently. Then you shard, so you horizontally partition or shard database. This is all like, it is both true for SQL and NoSQL, but NoSQL databases usually have them off the shelf. Like they're designed that way. And then finally, once you have these three things, you can go for something called compression. This is a little more complex because if you're looking for query patterns, you have to justify the compression. So if you're compressing and decompressing on the fly, that has a cost. If you're compressing in the background and decompressing you have to decompress at some point. So that is a cost. Sometimes it's much cheaper to store it that way. Sometimes it's much cheaper to pull the data and push the data. So yeah, you have to take those. So take 4 with a pinch of salt, but log the slow queries, read replicas, shard the database, standard procedure, usually works for everything. If it's still not working for you, if you still need availability and consistency guarantees at a different level, probably you can just go for a NoSQL database, because it gives a lot of solutions beforehand. And when I'm talking about NoSQL, the expectation is that you don't have joins. So there are certain optimizations you can do in that sense. Aman Garg is saying talk about network protocols. Okay. Network protocols, if you have to define them, I would define them in, the OSI stack is a really nice way to think of network protocols. How are they differing from each other? If I talk about like all the network protocols, it's like talking about all the databases. You can think about TCP and UDP being two major differences, because TCP has certain useful guarantees. One is the ordering guarantee that it has. Then there's reliable delivery. Every time you deliver, you get acknowledgement. UDP doesn't have all that. UDP is useful when you're looking for real-time communication, where you don't care about the message being sent or not. Like in this video, what's happening is at this point, I can see OBS. Okay, it's a software I have installed in my computer. It's sending YouTube this video using TCP, okay, RTMP. It's actually taking this video and sending it perfectly fine to the YouTube server. But YouTube is sending this video to you most likely using UDP. Okay, they can use WebRTC, they can use various protocols for this. I have spoken about this more in detail in Get Interview Ready. It's a free course preview. So do check it out. It's much more detailed with animations, far better. It talks about how do you do live streaming for a cricket match or something. So, 1 billion people, no. Yeah, a lot of people watching it. I think, that is 10 crores, 1 crore. So that's 10 million people. Sorry, 1 billion is a huge number. 10 million people were watching the India versus Pakistan cricket match live, and that had to be broadcasted. So that is much more complex. And this free preview, which is a design preview at InterviewReady, talks about that system. So it's free. I mean, yeah, you can go and watch it. It's all about network protocols, especially when it comes to video. But in general, if you have to think about different network protocols, like there's some for making phone calls and everything. So think about the OSI stack. Where does it lie? That helps you. So Ahil Guha, can you give some resource for low-level design? Low-level design, well, there are the design patterns book that you can pick up. It's useful. In my experience, usually you're dealing with very few design patterns. You're dealing with the factory design pattern. Okay, you are sometimes dealing with the builder design pattern, and you're dealing with the singleton very often. So singleton is such a common design pattern that people just copy paste code, or they have annotations, like in Java or in many other languages, there's just an annotation @singleton, and it takes care of all the things, all the guarantees that you need for a singleton. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Rather, I would learn why singleton is useful and in which cases I would need it. If we are talking about the builder design pattern, I wish I could show you examples right now. In certain cases, some objects are very complex. So, for example, a user has a set of fields which we can easily say that yes, these are the set of fields. But if you take a video, okay, videos are of different types. MP4 has a bunch of different attributes, and maybe some other form of video has a bunch of different attributes. So in a SQL database, they are going to be mismatching. Many fields will be null here, many fields will be null here. So what you want to do is, okay, how do I explain this in the best way? What you want to do is you want to populate those fields without making a very complex constructor. Yeah, that would be the accurate way to say it. You don't want a constructor where or hundreds of constructors with different types of parameters. So you just set the fields one by one. That would be a builder pattern. Okay, and factory pattern, again, like if you don't know about it, just go and read about it. It's another problem which is usually solved these days through annotations. Software engineers should know what's happening behind the scenes, but you don't need to code it every time. Okay, that's for design patterns. Like when we are talking about low-level design patterns is that much. This is like 20% according to me. What is important in low-level design? I'll just write that down. First comes object design. Okay, or at least how is this thing going to work? So class design, object design, whatever you like to call it. It's basically how you're going to write code. Okay. The second thing will be that dealing with latency and concurrency. Latency is how much time does it take for the user request to be answered. Concurrency is how many things can I do simultaneously, or rather how many things do I have to block to complete. So ideally you want to reduce as many blocking calls as you can, but if all you're doing is context switching, then you're wasting a lot of time and latency goes up. Okay, throughput also is another thing that you have to think about. If you don't care about latency, if it's a batch process, then you can run it in the background. I mean, latency doesn't matter to you, right? So you don't have any threads. You have a single thread, you just run it on that. Maximum efficiency. So I have spoken much more about this in the garbage collection video. You can have a look at that. That's a good example of what things we need to consider in low-level design. I'm sorry, I'm scratching my ear. This has become a habit now. But the garbage collection video, and also I have a set of LLD videos on the Google low-level design. So you should check them out, which is here on YouTube. It's totally free again. And there is system design LLD videos on YouTube. On InterviewReady. There is one on splitwise. Just think about the splitwise algorithm. You owe some money to this person, that person owes some money to some other person. And Splitwise says, okay, I'm going to remove all transitive relationships and I'm going to directly figure out where to go. So this is a low-level design problem. It's not like, you can add a load balancer and figure out what's going to happen. This is an actual algorithmic problem. So if they're asking you to design this, it's going to be, it's not going to be like, design this at a high level. It's going to be that, show me the code. So that is taken care of in InterviewReady. There's also another one which is machine coding, where machine coding, I talked about concurrency and latency. That's what is being talked about over there when it comes to caching or event bus. Okay. Also, it has code on rate limiters. So you might want to check that out. Create content on SRE role. I thought I was creating content on SRE role to some extent. Yeah, DevOps, SRE, and software engineering overall, I think. Pranadevil, but that's a good point. Okay. Any good books you would suggest for system design? This is Premal Singh. I love the book Designing Data-Intensive Applications by Martin Kleppmann. Yeah, it took me a second to remember the author's name. He's a former software engineer at LinkedIn, and now I think he's a researcher and professor at one of the top universities out there. So do check out his book. I have always recommended it, and I don't have any affiliate link. Like, I think I have an affiliate link, his Amazon book, but I don't paste it everywhere. I say it directly, like, just go and buy that book. It's excellent. Okay. Apart from that, I haven't found any like extraordinary book when it comes to system design, which is one of the reasons why I and Yogita Sharma are looking to write a book on system design, which is the basics of system design, right? Probably up to SD2 level, SD3 level, it should be useful. It depends on how much we can get out. We are planning to release it by the end of next year, so that's going to take some time. Right now, I would suggest go ahead, buy that Designing Data-Intensive Applications book by Martin Kleppmann. It's really good. Is databases the most crucial part of a system design? Vishal Roy is asking this question. I think so. I think very often what happens is when you figure out how you're going to store the data, so when you're talking about CRUD operations, which is create, remove, update, and delete, it takes care of about 50 to 60% of all the operations that you'll be performing in most systems. If there is some complex operation that has to be taken care of, or any kind of complex communication between the services, then you can focus more on that. But honestly, like, choosing the database is maybe 5 to 10% of the system design, maybe. But if you take databases in general as a whole, including the query patterns, the choice of database, the way in which you're going to interact with this database, how you're going to shard it, how you're going to store the data, yeah, that would be approximately 50% or even more. One could argue it's even more. Yeah, you're also deciding on the schema on that. So yeah, it's a pretty important part of system design. As a backend engineer, you need to know databases pretty well. At least know about the principles of sharding. At least know about the principles of how you're going to compress data, you're going to read in a particular way, write in a particular way. Are you going to optimize for reads? Are you going to focus on consistency, or performance? So these are all SD3 things, I think, mainly. When it comes to SD1 and SD2, they are much more lenient. So take this with a pinch of salt. I'm actually talking about what you need to know after maybe 6 years of experience. Okay, Vishal Roy, your question is answered. Okay, there's lots of questions. I think I'm going at a very slow pace, but I think I'll go at my pace, my comfortable pace. Let me try to find some interesting questions. Okay. Pushkar, how did you decide about quitting your well-paid job and starting InterviewReady? Weren't you scared at that moment if this didn't work out? So, yes, I was scared, of course. I spoke to my dad. I spoke to people who I, knew for a long time. friends, family, everyone. But I was sure also. So in a sense, I was just telling them, hey, what do you think about this? Not that, hey, should I do it? So I have made a YouTube video on this, which is, I think, on entrepreneurship. And let me just share that with you. Yeah, here it is. So I'll just paste that here. The reason I quit is because I was quite confident that I can make it. I had financial savings. I had saved for 6 years approximately. So I had enough cash with me. And then I also had enough skills with me and a resume. So I was not too worried that if this thing doesn't work out, what is the worst case scenario? It shouldn't be that you have no safety net, because what happens then is that you end up taking more risks than you would think when you have no safety net, because you become desperate. So, and this is well documented, when people are given little cash, they're much more likely to lose all of it than lose some of it, because they don't know when to stop, right? They feel helpless. Don't put yourself in that situation if you're looking for entrepreneurship. Also, don't be very quick about it. I would definitely suggest you to have enough income, like cash flow, that you can make this decision in a non-biased way, right? It seems very exciting, it seems very heroic to leave everything and go for one thing, but I would not recommend it. I used to be paid more through affiliates and the YouTube ads when I left my job than what Uber was paying me. So when I actually left my job, I was still earning more than, let's say, the normal SD2 at Uber. So that gives you a lot of confidence to actually take risks, right? It's very useful to be in such a situation. That's a very comfortable situation to be in, honestly. So if you find yourself in that position, it's a good time to start thinking, hey, can I afford to take a little more risk now? Right now, if you have a look at InterviewReady, for example, we are a profitable company. We are making profits. What I do is I try to see how much profit are we making, how much do I need to survive, and once I minus that, because I have savings, right, I can afford to think about, hey, can I hire more people? Can I get a designer? Can I get a social media manager? Can I get developers? Can I get people who are maybe sometimes you might see something in the legal side. You might want to have more focus in accounts. So, and then of course, if nothing else, you want to buy licenses, right? Not government licenses necessarily. I mean to say subscriptions. You want for example, AWS is expensive. So you want to see that AWS is easily taken care of in the profits. And okay, why is no subscription in my coming in my mind? Oh yeah, what about MailChimp? Right, sending emails is not free, so I can go for a higher paid plan. I can do more interesting things if I make more money. So the more money I make, the more I want to spend. That's the general idea, and that's a good idea also, because otherwise you will not grow. And at this point in time, we are going stable. But anytime that the profit again bumps up, there's really no point in me withdrawing too much from that profit. It's much better to actually spend it on whatever's coming, because I have a safety thing already set up at the very start. So you see how this makes a person comfortable to spend more. Ankit Saxena is asking, one suggestion will be to make a video on the non-functional requirements of the system. On a separate note, your course is awesome along with the content on YouTube. Thanks, Ankit. One suggestion would be to make a video on the non-functional requirements of the system. Yes. What this would probably require is me understanding that this is a system. These are the core requirements. I need to ensure that this requirement, let us say user registration, has minimum latency or minimum rate of failure. Because if a user is not registered, they are going to be upset and they are probably not going to be retrying. They'll probably not even raise a support query. They'll just give up. So these are interesting metrics and important non-functional metrics that I have started noticing recently. To be honest, when I was an employee, we used to write tests and we used to think about functional requirements much more than non-functional ones. The reason being that scale is something, or money is something that you are much more bothered about when it's coming out of your own pocket. Yeah. So I do look at now the non-functional requirements like, hey, this API call should not fail. We use Razorpay and Stripe. If there is a payment gateway failure on Razorpay or Stripe, just imagine a person buys a course and after paying that money, they are not able to access the course. So recently we had a couple of cases of that and we immediately enroll them through the backend. But the problem is not that. The problem is the user is likely to lose trust in the system. So non-functional requirements are critical, and that's a very good point. Okay, I think I'll have to consider how do I involve that. I'll have to add it to the process. Every time I'm thinking about a design, also add non-functional requirements, which is not in my habit, but I'll try to change. Good point. Parvez Ansari, are you planning for computer networks playlist anytime soon in the future? Okay, not yet, no. If I think about things like session description protocol and, there are many protocols that people usually don't talk about, but are very important when it comes to designing systems or in the real world. When you're talking to your manager, let's say, or you're in your team meeting and people are discussing how are you going to send this, few people talk about how is a message going to go from A to B. But the people who are able to tap into that are usually like, they're valued a lot. So I could get into this network protocols, in depth. But I also feel like network protocols are almost like tools these days. Like you don't actually see deeply into what are the algorithms which are being used, what are the assumptions in every network protocol has some sort of assumptions that, the message will be reliably delivered, or this will happen, or the person is looking for this expectation and that's the reason why this network protocol exists. It's a little like databases. I think I can pick it up, but I won't make any promises. It's a good thing to pick up though. If anyone is watching and is a YouTuber or you don't need to be a YouTuber for this. If you're a software engineer and you like network protocols and you see one which is talked about rarely, I would love to see your blog on this. Do tag me on LinkedIn. And I'll, if it's well written, I'll definitely promote you. Nishan Garg has another question, which is, but how to make join queries efficient with sharding partitioning, considering Facebook as an example. I don't think Facebook has too many join queries. Whatever join queries that they have often comes by replication. So they have data which is first aggregated and then again split up based on the query patterns that you have. So if you're looking for real-time joins, that's not going to happen in NoSQL databases. What ends up happening is you have certain data which you can archive, you don't need it. You have some data which is hot, so you put it in the cache in a different schema and you persist in the database in a different schema. That's another trick you can apply if you joins basically in memory. So these are the things you can do. But if you're talking about plain SQL with joins and sharding also, no, it's not going to be very efficient. Okay, in fact, I remember one of my friends in a company, okay, it's a well-respected company, he was talking about one of his colleagues, this is like so much far away, but he was talking about one of his colleagues who got a promotion basically because he was able to join tables together, right? Because not through query, but he took two tables and joined them and made them a single table, which is now being queried by the production system. And the performance of the database went up. So everyone was like, wow, this is so good. You just denormalized a table. Here's a promotion. So, and it irritated a few people, the other software engineers, because it's a very simple solution, right? But it does work. So you might want to consider, do you really want to normalize also? You can keep it denormalized. How does the actual SD interview go? Shubham Rastogi is asking this. Is it a straightforward LLD or HLD, or do we need to do both in 45 minutes for a 3 years experience guy? Okay. Guys, if you have any answers to these questions, of course you can post them in the comments itself. But I'll answer this one. It is one thing, HLD or LLD usually, and it is very explicit also. The interviewer does not beat around the bush too much, because LLD requires you to get to coding quite quickly. Yeah, usually there is a requirement analysis that is first. So you note down the requirements and you say these are the things that I want to tackle. But usually it's explicit that hey, you have to do the coding of this. So the way you can tell is if the interviewer says, tell me the requirements, and then they start picking just one component, like make the cache for this or design the algorithm for this. That's when you know that they're probably talking about LLD, but you can straight up ask them. Prashant Bajpai is saying if you can add coding as well during system design, it will help. Yes, LLD is important. Yes, yes. We do have it on the InterviewReady platform, but for 3 questions. We also have 6 other questions which are on high-level design. So let me just open InterviewReady and check whether that is the case. Yeah, we have one on Gmail design, that is high-level design. Design a distributed rate limiter. This is again high-level design. Okay, audio search engine, that is again high-level design. Calling app design, something like WhatsApp calling, high-level design. First low-level design chapter is payment tracking app. This is like splitwise. Machine coding a cache, that is again low-level design. Like I said, concurrency, latency. What else is here? Oh, okay. Asynchronous processing. I myself have forgotten what I've picked up here. View consistency. Okay, okay. Read your own writes, and then the code is also there. Yeah, sequence diagram and stuff. Okay. There is also what is an event bus, code skeleton, and again, why do we use threads? So threads and locks. Yeah, so these are the 3 low-level design ones. Then you have again high-level design of build a analytics engine. And finally, this is a free course preview, the final chapter, 9th chapter. The 10th one is going to come out soon. It's on chess design. So it's a chess website that you have to design. That is again high level. So I think we have a lot of high level design chapters now. We can go for low level design next. Again. So, okay, yeah. Designing a live streaming video system like ESPN. That's the 9th chapter for now. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, LLD is important and we have picked it up. Suraj Acharya is asking, how should we structure our system design preparation? List of basic topics to learn first before jumping into advanced topics. Yeah. So Suraj, I would suggest if you're just starting, you can go through the YouTube playlist right here. I think there's around 30 videos. Okay. So once you go through them, you don't need to go through all of them. Probably at video number 5 or 6, you can stop. And then you can go to InterviewReady also. So you basically have this playlist that you're finishing and the InterviewReady playlist that you're finishing. As long as you're applying, I mean, if you have less than 8 years or 10 years of experience, you're fine. This much information is fine. It is pretty detailed, especially when put together. So Suraj Acharya, Deepak Pandey, singleton when you need, okay. Okay, that's a good point. KRP Chaitanya is asking talk about API throttling and handling concurrent requests. Okay, I have a video on YouTube and I have a design on InterviewReady talking about rate limiting. So I won't repeat too much, but the basic idea is, like, just go and have a look at the YouTube video, right? That will help you. I'll just post it over here. Gaurav Sen, rate limiting. And I also have the code on GitHub. So the YouTube video and the GitHub code is free. So I won't repeat myself here, except to say that if there are too many requests coming in, you might want to control the rate of requests. Rate limiting is one key component of any system, which needs to scale. Rodolfo Bandera, I'm sorry if I got the pronunciation wrong. Singleton, when you want to have a single place to connect to a database, for example, and all classes need to go through this single place. That is true. It's a single source. Some people might think of single point of failure, but that's not how you need to think about the singleton, because in code, the class does a very simple operation. There is no chance of it failing. There's no exception, and if there is any exception, then you should ideally handle it. Okay, so that's what it is. Or you can throw the exception also above. Okay, Venkata Sai Manoj says, can you shed some insight on drawing block diagrams, flow diagrams during system design interview? Is there a resource we can use to practice? So because of COVID, a lot of companies are actually taking this online, and I would suggest you to use something like Lucid Chart if possible. I would not suggest you to have your own board at home and then draw on it. The reason being that you don't have a professional camera or a lighting setup. So very often what happens is there is some reflection which hits the board, and that area is basically burnt out through light. So it's not a good experience for the interviewer, and it does matter. The other thing is, if you don't have direct light, often what happens is that the lighting in the room is not very good. So, or even more common is that the things that you're writing, they're not very legible. While if you type it out, it's very clear. So I would strongly suggest using an online tool like Lucid Chart or Glyphy or anything. It's not very expensive. It's worth it in my opinion, especially for a critical interview. At InterviewReady, in YouTube, like I can afford it, right? I have a camera, I have lighting set up usually. Like right now, the lighting is pretty bad compared to what I have in a studio lighting. And also, in general, I have post edit also. I can add animations if I need to, while you don't, right? So I would suggest go for a online software. If I had to give an interview tomorrow at some company, I wouldn't go for this lighting. I would definitely take an online software and do it myself with screen share. John Snow, how important is, and also sorry Venkata, just to answer your question, where can you practice? You can practice at Pramp. Pramp.com is a website which is right now available. But if you wait for 15 days, then InterviewReady is having mock interviews, and we are actively developing it. So my expectation, I think it's the best place to prepare. So in a few weeks, even if you don't want to buy the course, you can just go and register at InterviewReady. We'll send you an email saying that the mock interview platform is ready. You can just come and practice there. It's free, basically. So I will be probably taking a few system design interviews first, just to show how the platform works. Okay. John Snow, hey, the White Walkers didn't kill you. How important is system design while applying for a good startup with 1 year experience? Look, I don't know how to answer this question. If it's a startup, it's very likely that they don't have millions, not even millions, like it's very likely that they don't have a lot of candidates. So what they're going to do is they can afford to actually test you on your development skills. So they'll go through your GitHub profile, they'll actually ask you to do some sort of a mini project for them on the spot in the 45 minutes. So system design is useful because once you go inside, they're going to be expecting you to know how to design systems. But in the interview itself, it's not very important. So when you're applying, it's not very important. They're not going to ask you something like, hey, this is a load balancer, please figure it out. They're also not going to ask you about an algorithm, right? They're not going to ask you about, here's a string matching algorithm. So startups don't behave that way. I have a startup. I never ask algorithmic questions. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't need to filter out candidates that way. I can filter them through the GitHub profiles. Or I can filter them by seeing their responses to the form that I ask. I have 200 candidates, right? While Google probably has that every hour. Harshit Patte is talking about strategy pattern. This is Yes, a bit of an advanced pattern, or should I say a bit of a less used pattern. I have seen it happen. Strategy pattern and state pattern also. It's important. Yeah, we use it in some cases. The calling app design one at InterviewReady actually does use it when it comes to the code. But yeah, I won't speak about it because it's not very common. Mudit Malpani, can system design help in getting girlfriend? Okay. Mudit Malpani, you probably don't have one, so it's a self-answering question, isn't it? Harshit Patte, difference between static and singleton pattern is also interesting. Oh, I'm not aware of this. Static and singleton pattern. Okay. Loose coupling. Okay, let me also now go for an interesting question. Prajwal K, do you plan on including coding interview training along with system design on InterviewReady platform? So the mock interviews will of course have coding interviews also, but they are mock interviews. They're not training. We're not teaching you DSA. What's happened is in the market, if you see, here's a strange thing. People learn concepts. Then they learn about problems, like practice problems, and then they actually do the practice. So right now I'm more focused on what are the things which are missing in the learning area and how to make an awesome practice platform. And soon, like, we'll be touching on different aspects. But the important thing is we also don't want to get lost. So DSA, no. Right now we are not specifically going for it, but the mock interview platform has all DSA. If you register, most likely you're going to be taking a mock interview for algorithms with another person. That's where most of the people are, right? So it's kind of up to you what you want to use the mock interview platform for, whether it is for system design or DSA or behavioral also is there, and front-end engineering interviews is also there in the mock interview, the new platform. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I was talking to one of my friends about product design interviews also, but it seems like that's a bit subjective. Of course, behavior is also subjective. So we are thinking about how do we incorporate that. If the MVP that you'll be seeing will not have a lot of differentiation for these things, for the different types of interview, but the idea is to actually make it really differentiated and actually help people prepare for different types of interviews in different ways. So let's see where that goes. Hey Gaurav, do you plan on including, okay, I just answered this question, sorry. Prashant Bajpai says clean code, that's a good book, yes. I haven't read it. But my former manager had actually suggested that book to a few people. So it's interesting. Maybe you can have a look. I think it is highly rated also. Mock interviews for Harshit Patte. It would be great if you can add mock interviews for SD, get interview ready. Yes, that is coming. Mock interviews are coming. Wholesome INFJ. Okay, so this is, I think, I've learned a lot from your videos. Thanks for all your help. Thank you. Let me pick another question now. Venkatasayar Manoj is asking for a 30 to 40 minute interview. How much time should we split into each category? High level design, functional requirements, non-functional requirements, etc. It depends a lot on the interviewer, honestly. Of course, you can't take 30 minutes of requirement gathering, functional requirements, non-functional requirements. So usually you spend about 10 minutes in requirement gathering. If you have a look at the course videos or if you have a look at the YouTube videos, always the requirement gathering is like really fast. But that's not what happens in the real world, because there's a lot of back and forth and a breakdown of the requirements. It's very important to ask good questions, and also even if something is, let's say, obvious, like for example, Zomato needs delivery people, right? Delivery executives. So you can just say, okay, man, I need to execute this and end it there. But a nice way to go forward is to say that how are we going to onboard these people onto the platform? Should I talk more about that? So it just makes you a little more aware as an engineer that these things are not free. They are not core to the system, but you are actually taking those requirements. So the interviewer usually prods you towards what they care about, but they also appreciate you having a holistic picture. So it's a 10 minutes for requirement gathering, functional, non-functional, and then the rest of the 30 minutes for the design. Actually, we're going to get around 25 minutes because the last 5 minutes is pretty much a back and forth. Codec, how to learn concurrency and multi-threading for interviews. I mentioned this a little earlier. There's a little design playlist right here on YouTube, on the channel, and of course there's InterviewReady. Our DSA questions kept light for staff roles. Shiva Somapur asked this question. I think so. I have spoken to quite a few senior engineers. With them, the expectation is not so much that they can answer the algorithm or complex algorithms, but their thought process is taken much more into consideration than yes or no answers. Like for a SD1 or SD2, the expectation is that they're able to solve the problem and their code is going to work. While for SD3, there is some leniency given because as long as you're able to figure out what's happening and as long as you're able to move towards the solution, it's fine. Different people will tell you different things. I have heard from some people saying that no, SD3 is even harder when it comes to algorithms. But I don't think that is true. I think it is equal to or less than the difficulty of a SD2 or SD1 interview when it comes to algorithms. Okay, I'll pick the next question. Santosh Bhatt, how do you get experience with current design and cloud tech, particularly if your current team is working on old monolith software? So you can read about these things. Of course, you won't get experience on it. You can contribute to open source, but that is also it's sort of like I feel like it's almost like a vocation. I feel like doing this, so then you won't contribute to open source. You can freelance, and finally you can, if you really want to, you want to learn about different things, cloud tech or design, just go and talk to your manager. That hey, can we move to a monolith, microservice architecture? Can we? I have made a video on this again, which is monoliths to microservices. This is for the send. Let me just share this video over here. So this is pretty useful. I think it's been seen by 120k people, and they found the video useful, which is good. I think that as proof. But the idea is that if you want to learn about something, it's much better to learn and work than do it on the side. So if you can talk to your team about moving, it will be the best thing. How do you build a chat application? Okay, that's how to design WhatsApp is something you can have a look at using Screen Builder or Layout Builder. It's a very specific question. Arun SKS, sorry for that. Aman Garg talked about map reduce. We have spoken about this actually in detail in the design and analytics engine chapter at InterviewReady. It's surprising that I'm able to mention InterviewReady so many times, but it's all true, right? Like these things have been mentioned. It's after all a paid course, so you do mention a lot of things there. What areas to and in detail. So what areas to focus for staff roles in interviews? Shiva Somapur is asking this question. So if you're looking for a staff role, there's three. I would say it's like a three-layer cake. The first thing is you need to be okay at coding. You need to be in touch with coding. You need to be hands-on. the way that is tested is by actually asking you a problem to solve. So a simple algorithm problem also, as long as you're able to solve it, and as long as you're able to write code for it, like even merge sort, that's good. Okay. Then it comes to the second part, which is design problems. Okay. So this is interesting. I think, have you lost audio? Okay. Okay, I think I've lost some audio. I'm sorry for that, guys. Am I audible now? Let me just try to rejoin here. Is it better now? Perfect. Okay, so sorry for that. I think something happened to the video streaming rate. So what I did is, very technically, I just grabbed this Wi-Fi dongle and shook it. So things are better now. Okay. So yeah, again, getting back to the questions. Sorry, I lost track. There's also a super chat question. I think I missed it. Oh yes. Let me pick that up before the timer expires. How to understand what, this is Pankaj Panigrahi, who's asking how to understand what interviewer wants to focus. How do I understand what the interviewer wants to focus? Well, usually interviewers are, okay, I can tell you how to probably be in their good books, firstly, and that is by talking about what you're doing. So when you're actually designing something on the whiteboard, speak about it. Like, this is your thought process. You don't need to continuously talk, but any decision that you're making on the whiteboard, any kind of thought that is coming on your mind which impacts the system, let them know. What happens is, with that, they are able to almost see a video of you doing something. Otherwise, it's just you drawing. It's just visual, right? They are not able to see what's going on in your mind. So when you speak, they are able to see that, and then they are able to direct you in the right way. In a team meeting also, what happens is, unfortunately, because a lot of people sit together and then people feel embarrassed to put their opinions forward, often we miss out on this. Continuous speaking, talking about what the problem could be. Of course, if 10 people are sitting together and they are all speaking, then that's another problem. But in an interview, you are the candidate. Speak about the things that you're thinking about. This will help them guide you and give you hints. Okay? That itself will tell you what the interview wants. Usually they're able to guide you, like, hey, think a little bit more about the rate limiting part of the system. Can you show me the code for this? Or can you make it more efficient? Then it becomes very obvious. Cool. Okay, getting back to the older questions. I see that this has been a long time. Sorry guys for this. I think what's happened is, yeah, I think things will get better now. Maybe the speaker has been put to 0, and yeah, it's been echoing for a long time. Aman Karam Chandani also mentioned that there's an echo. Okay, guys, you can now start posting your questions again. Nikhil Rale is saying, you're so funny, you always do something which makes us laugh. Okay. I have an interview tomorrow. Ahmad Ali says, I have an interview tomorrow. Can you point out security and monitoring aspect of system design? I have not found info about it in your videos. Ahmed, you can have a look at the video that I recently did with Yogita Sharma. So I'll just share the link over here. No, this is the TikTok video. There's one I've made on Amazon Flipkart. So over there, there's one part where we actually talk about monitoring. So I can't give you the timestamp actually, but it's towards the end, a little towards the end. So I'll just paste that over here. Yeah, that talks about monitoring. Also guys, don't spam the chat. Okay, yeah, that took care of 90% of the messages. Okay, then we'll continue for the next 5 minutes. After that, we can stop. I have an interview tomorrow. That is Ahmed Ali. A question has been taken care of. So not every interviewer knows what they want. I have been in interviews where they are less knowledgeable and tend to be stuck in their way of understanding. That is true. Nandana is saying not every interviewer is aware of what they want. That is true. Yeah, there are less prepared interviews also. There are interviewers who misdirect people, but I mean, you're doing your best, right? And even the interviews who don't do very well are much more sympathetic, or not sympathetic, like much more interested in hiring candidates who are polite and who are able to perform well. So at the end of the day, it is more dependent on our performance than the interviewer's skills, honestly. So let's take the responsibility on ourselves by putting whatever we know forward so that they can try to at least help us, even if they are sometimes unable to. Crime Master Goko is asking 5-year experience working on non-cloud, rather niche products, static code analyzers. Okay, need to make a shift to cloud. What should be the approach? Okay. Well, if you like your company, then you can, of course, go to some other team, talk to the manager and tell them that this is what you're looking for. And if you want to switch companies, that's another way. If you're looking to switch to cloud, like most of these famous organizations now, they do use cloud. So it's not difficult to get a job on that. Agni Nanda, I just had an interview with DoorDash for technical product manager role, and they asked me about open table design flaws. Okay, I'm not aware of what an open table is. So if anyone on the chat knows about what an open table is, and I mean if you know about the design flaws or the benefits, that'd be awesome. Just Agni Nanda, you can help them out. Okay, there is still some echo. I think it might be slightly better if I speak this here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think I can take the last 2 or 3 questions. Guys, by the way, it's not a very serious chat. If you're feeling like, hey, this is not going at the speed that I want, you can actually start asking general questions also. But we'll stop soon. Can we provide code in Golang at InterviewReady? Ahil Guha, right now we have it in Java. Surprisingly, InterviewReady is written in Golang, the server. So there is that. Okay, I think most of the questions which are coming now are answered above. Rishabh Goel, bug in mock interview page form on InterviewReady. Do let us know. Yeah, there's a contact us page. It will be very helpful and very useful. Thanks so much for actually reporting this. I'm unable to submit it. Okay. I'll just try to do that just after this session. But thank you so much for actually reporting that. Okay, I think we are done with the questions then. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for actually tuning in. And it's a late Diwali. Happy Diwali. By the way, I hadn't thought of this. There's two things which are probably going to happen very soon. First thing is that, or rather, there's two things I wanted to share with you. 5th of November was the last date, 2019. 5th November was my last day at Uber. So it's been 2 years, and I am very glad that I actually had the guts to take this decision. At that point in time, of course, like I said, I was not in doubt, but I was trying to figure out what would be the right time to leave. So it's been a good decision because monetarily, yes, it's turned out well, but even more importantly, what's turned out really well is that I learned a lot of things. I wouldn't be on the product side otherwise. I wouldn't have learned what setting up a Jira feels like. I've been on the receiving side where I get tasks and I used to do them. But what needs to be done, what is the product, what do people think, how is this going to benefit them? These are things that I'm learning right now. So there's program management, product management, all these things which as a developer I never really valued or appreciated as much as I do now. The other thing is recruitment. That is an interesting thing. Like a lot of people think that the HR team is basically the Rangoli team. They are the morale booster team. But that's a very big misconception. I realize it now. It's a very complex process of shortlisting, testing, onboarding candidates, and it's a very expensive process when it comes to time and effort, and even money, of course. So you start appreciating a lot of things. That's the first thing. Like I'm happy that it's been 2 years. We have roughly 4,200 users at InterviewReady. I'll just check the numbers. Tell me the exact number. Come on. Yeah. 4,288 paid users. So that's good. We were recently at 3,000, moving at a decent pace. The number of registered users is higher. So basically everyone who's registered at InterviewReady can take the mock interviews once it is released. But you can, of course, create an account anytime and start taking mock interviews. But we are going to be verifying you through your OTP so that spam is reduced. And we also want to make it a safe environment. Like it shouldn't be that someone goes for a mock interview and has a bad experience in any way. It's not just that you can get spammed or something. It's also that the quality of the interview might be bad. So you want to ensure that there's good quality interviews only. So yeah, that was the second thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, and I'll see you next time. If you are looking for, why is it so difficult now? Yeah, if you're looking for content around system design, then I would strongly suggest you to subscribe to the channel because we create content around system design often. Recently, you might have seen that the pace has dropped. The past month, I don't think anything has been posted. The reason being that we were busy with the mock interviews at InterviewReady. But now that they are, it's at a particular stage, I think you'll see more content again coming on YouTube. So you can subscribe for that. Of course, if you are here watching this live stream, subscribing is a good idea. But thanks so much. Thanks, and see you. Bye-bye.